So I'd like to say huge congratulations for myself, and I'm just now going to pass you over to Paul, who is going to be making the first speech today.
Thank you very much. Wow, what a day up to now. So I hope you're all enjoying yourselves in this beautiful, beautiful setting. And good afternoon, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Paul, Chelsea's stepdad. And it falls on me to make the opening speeches. I suppose you could just think of me as a warm-up act before the next speeches, really. I would like to start by extending a warm welcome on behalf of myself and Chelsea's mum, Maria, and also Adam's mum, Karen, his stepdad. Unfortunately, he's had a leave, but he'll be coming back soon, so he'll be back shortly, yeah. And to all the relatives and friends who have joined us to celebrate Chelsea and Adam's wedding. I'm pleased to see so many family and friends here today on this very special occasion. I know many of you have travelled a long distance today, and I thank you all for coming on this very special occasion. I also have a very, very special message. I'm just going to read this out as it was. Chelsea and Adam, I hope you have a wonderful day. Sorry I could not be with you guys, but still lost looking for that hotel. Love, Annie Lennox. For those who don't get it, ask Chelsea and Adam later on. I hope that everybody has a wonderful afternoon, and in this beautiful venue, the South Causey. What a stunning place, I think you all agree. It's absolutely gorgeous. Wonderful occasions such as these don't just happen. So it would be wrong of me not to thank everyone involved for making this special day possible. The bridesmaids for looking after Chelsea, Samantha, Lindsay. And I'm sure you all agree that they absolutely look stunning. Well done, guys. Then, of course, we need to thank Chris, Harvey, Maddie, the best man in co. Absolutely. I'm going to love the speeches. And I really want to thank you for presenting a sober groom. Jack, where are you? Have you seen Jack? Cuteness on another scale. He's absolutely gorgeous, isn't he? Unfortunately, Amelia's not very well, and she had to go home, bless her, but I'm sure she'll be sitting, having a nap, thinking of us. Unfortunately, it's not possible for everybody to be with us today. In particular, Adam's dad, Paul. Chelsea's grandparents, Gordon, Heather, Chris and John. I know they're here with us in spirit, and they're not only in our thoughts today, but more importantly, they are in our hearts. So with them in mind, could I ask you all to stand, please raise a glass, and join me in a toast. To loved ones who can't be here in person. Thank you, Miss Miller, sit down. Maria and myself are very proud of Chelsea and so happy to see her looking radiant and so happy. Over the years, we have the privilege of watching Chelsea blossom into the woman we see today. Chelsea is a wonderful daughter, and she's provided us with so much joy and happiness over the years. We've always been proud of her and everything she does and everything she is going to do. During the time we've known Adam, we've come to realise how special he is to Chelsea and what a great husband and son-in-law he will be. I would like to take this opportunity to formally welcome Adam to our family. Welcome, son. Now, Chelsea. This is a time where every bride fears. What the heck's he going to say? Is he going to tell them about the time when... Stop worrying. I'll leave it to your mum and embarrass you later on. When we shared our little glance at one another and we had to start our walk down the aisle, that will be a moment I will remember and cherish forever. It is customary in these occasions to offer the happy couple worldly advice on marriage. Keep things fresh. Keep giving each other surprises. Try not to take each other for granted and don't dwell on the negatives. Remember that you chose each other because of the things you like, not the things you don't. Success in marriage is not about finding a person that you can live with, it's about finding the person you can't live without. Chelsea, when you want something from Adam, ask for it. Don't forget he's a man. Hints don't work. Adam, if Chelsea asks you to do something, she's actually telling you to do it. And straight away. My greatest wish for the two of you is that your love for each other will deepen and grow. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a beautiful bride. We have a handsome groom. Please be upstanding and join me to the toast, Mr. and Mrs. Graham. Adam and Chelsea. Adam and Chelsea.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Paul. I don't know how I'm going to compose myself, but I'll give it a shot. I just want to start by thanking you all on behalf of myself and my wife. Today's already been better than we could have ever expected. Now, I struggled for a long time to know how to start this speech, so I decided to take you right back to the beginning. Talk about how we met. As you most of you know, we met on Tinder. Now, I have to admit, in today's age of online dating and filtered pictures and what have you, definitely had an unfair advantage. But not what you think. What I did do was I put all of our new puppies at the time on my profile pictures. And those of you that know Chelsea know there was absolutely no getting rid of her after that. Now, during our earliest chatting and getting to know one another, we discussed our mutual love of all things Harry Potter. What that led to was a drunken pub quiz revolving around Harry Potter in a pub in town. At least that's what we thought. That turned out to be sold out. Chelsea eagerly bought tickets for an alternative, but that turned out to be in a public library with a bunch of children in fancy dress. Now, I never would have expected a quick swipe on a phone screen 4 years ago would lead to me stood here as a married man, especially given that one of our first dates was in a library. Now, there was a slight blip in us becoming official. For some extremely stupid reason, I decided I wanted to be an architect many years ago, and I was a bit dominated by deadlines, wasn't I? However, we always talk back, and both of us admit that there was some undeniable attraction that we couldn't pull ourselves away from each other. We kept insisting that we had deadlines, we insisted that we had other things to do, but we couldn't take ourselves away from each other, could we? No. And it was always something that was worth pursuing. And it was actually at Paul's 50th birthday party where I was thrown in at the deep end and met the entire family. It was then that I made it official and asked Chelsea to be my girlfriend. The excitement of many a drunk auntie, might I add. Now, on the note of being drunk, my lovely bride here had obviously had one too many, because it wasn't until a week later that we found out she had no recollection of the question, and then she didn't realise we were an actual couple. So all I can say is thank God for today. I've got an official anniversary date that I can remember now, because God knows when the other ones were. Now, to say we had a whirlwind romance is an absolute understatement. Now, we've had our first holiday. I've fully adopted little Pepper. We're absolute best friends now. We've bought our first home and quickly became a solid team. A team that I realised I couldn't live without, which led to me immediately looking for a ring and being in total cahoots with Maria on how we were going to pop the question. So it was agreed that we'd do that on a family holiday that we booked in Mallorca. Paul had to smuggle the ring through like an absolute drug mule. A job that he'd done very well. The same can't be said for the proposal though. Now, sadly, again, a couple of weeks before the holiday, we lost Paul's mum, little Nana Heather. Now, we used the premise of going to the beach at sunset to toast Heather's memory, to get some family photographs and some videos. Paul pulled Maria, Sam and Chelsea one by one onto the sand for a picture. How she didn't twig that there's something going on still blows my mind. Now, it was then my turn. I dropped to one knee, asked the question, and then immediately hysterical and shaken, she said yes, obviously. Paul, equally as hysterical, ran over and hugged us before the ring was even on the finger. Now, it turns out the whole ruse of family pictures and photographs and the GoPro that we had set up was completely irrelevant because Paul stood in front of said GoPro for the entire proposal and missed it. Now, when I proposed, I made it clear I was going to be a long engagement because of said prior deadlines and commitments. We wouldn't plan anything until I'd finished university. That obviously didn't last long because 2 weeks after the proposal, everything was pretty much planned. I mean, not that I'm complaining. Now, during this time, there's been a running joke how I've got a heart of stone and I don't cry, contrary to my performance this morning. As most of my family are probably sat there in disbelief because I was the whingiest kid growing up ever. Now, Chels also jokingly said if I didn't cry, I should be turning around and walking down the aisle again. We even joked about putting a pair of tweezers in the pocket and plucking away at some hairs to make the eyes water. Bear with. Right, apologies. Yeah, so like I say, I've never been in any doubt that she would take my breath away and that I would be an absolute bubbling mess today. She does so every single day. Chelsea, you're the most selfless, loving, beautiful woman I could have hoped for. Not just that, but you make me become a better man. Always offering encouragement and support. You truly have filled a hole in my life that I didn't even know was there. You deserve an absolute medal. So I ask you all again to raise your glasses to Mrs. Graham. I'm not done. Unfortunately, sorry. Oh God, this is going to be even worse, sorry. Right. It's going to be a lot of repetition from Paul here, but deal with it. As you would have seen as you came into the venue, we've set up a memory table dedicated to some of the loved ones that are sadly no longer with us. I can't mention them all, but I'm sure each one of them would have loved to be here. Oh, shit. No more so than my dad. As I'm sure those of you who knew him would agree, he would have been on the top of the world today and the absolute life and soul of the party.
Absolute proudest man in the world, he would have been.
And he would have been the only person here, perhaps other than my mother, to give Paul a run for money the number of times one person could cry. It's been almost 13 years since we lost him, but I know he would have loved Chelsea. It's very fitting that today is Father's Day. And sorry. I would have given anything for him to be here. That being said, I'm also very lucky enough to have a stepdad in Dean. And now a father-in-law in Paul. Both who've only ever treated me like their own. All parents. My mother, Dean, Paul, Maria, Chris, Sandra, the whole family. Today couldn't have been possible without you all, and we can't thank you enough. But we'd like to start by giving you some gifts. That is for you.
Thank you very much.
And that is for you.
Try not to take it.
That didn't look very elegant there, did it? This is the longest speech you've probably ever heard, is it? Right, sorry. So thank yous to both Paul and Maria, my mum, Dean. We've also got Sam and Lindsay, Chelsea's bridesmaids, who are looking as lovely as ever, and I'd like to thank you both for keeping Chelsea in check. I'm sure that there's been a few bridezilla moments in the last 12 hours. I can't thank you enough for making her days equally as special. Where's Sam? Sam? Hello. Sam, it's an absolute pleasure to now have you as a sister. Thank you very much. Lindsay, you, as the rest of your table, have been considered a second family for many years now, especially that I've got the pleasure of being young Jack's godfather. Jack, as you can all agree, was looking as fly as ever today, and he's done his page boy duties very well. Again, as Paul mentioned, unfortunately I've got my little niece Amelia, who's not feeling very well, so has had to be taken home. But again, I'd like to say you've seen that she looked lovely as ever, but she wasn't around.
Watch the video.
Finally, to my groomsmen and my best men, Matty, Harvey and Chris, been best mates ever since that first year of uni all those years ago. You certainly get to a different level of friendship when you live with a group of lads. You see things and hear things that you really shouldn't. But you've also got a bond like no other. We certainly had some great times, some certainly not suitable for conversation today. Chris, that means you. Seeing as his speech is coming up next, I'm just going to put this out there, that he is a Scouser, so he's probably lying on everything. Don't believe it. Now, geography might limit how often we see each other now. However, I wouldn't want anyone else up there with me today, boys. You have been an absolute treat, and I thank you all again. And on that note, I'll pass you over to Chris as the best man.
Good evening, everybody. We're having a good time so far? Yeah! For those of you who don't know me, my name's Chris, and I today am Adam's best man. So recently I read somewhere that the best length of time for a best man speech is about the same amount of time it takes for the groom to make love. So, good night, everybody. I'm joking, of course. Actually, I'm led to believe, Adam is Chelsea's quite a lucky lady, and Adam's quite well endowed in that area. Although I think that's the case anyway, because often when he walks in the room, you often hear people saying, "Look, there's Adam, that big knob." So I struggled at first about what to say in today's speech. So I went to that fountain of all knowledge, the internet, and many hours later, a roll of toilet rolled down, I saw a wrist, I was still no further forward. So, yeah, as Adam said before, we first met in our first year of university when we were studying architecture. That's a good student loan. I'm glad I'm still paying off nowadays. So there was actually an unfortunate incident when I first met Adam and involved some black paint from a project we'd just done. And I spilt it all over Adam's skin-tight chinos, and it was terrible. Adam used to wear skin-tight chinos. But as Adam said before, we had a great first year, and the bond that we got between now the groomsmen was absolutely amazing. So much so that we decided to live with each other in the second year. Big up the Lavender Crew massive. Doesn't really work with the name Lavender, but yeah, so not too far into second year, the inevitable happened. Adam got a girl pregnant and then moved to a different country. Wait, no, sorry, that was me. Sorry, that was me. Sorry, Chelsea, I just wanted to see everybody's face there. I'm really sorry. Just to explain as well, the girl that got pregnant was my now wife with Jack. And the country I ran away to was actually Afghanistan. It was for work as well. I didn't join the Taliban, don't worry about that. Yeah, so I'd just like to say as well today, first of all, to the bridesmaids, to Lindsay, my wife, and then Sam. I think, as we said before, everyone will agree that it looked absolutely beautiful today, and Chelsea as well. Picture of beauty today as well. Adam's a very lucky man. So speaking about when I was in Afghanistan, it actually reminds me a very interesting story to do with love. So when I was out there, I had an interpreter who would translate everything for me, and his name was Asadullah Azizi. And one day we were chatting about wives. He was telling me about his wife, I was telling him about mine. And he said, yeah, my wife, she's very beautiful, most beautiful woman in the world. And I said, that's great. And he said, would you like to see a picture of her? Now, in a devout Muslim country, to show another man a picture, even a picture of your wife, is a big thing. So I thought he'd trust me quite a lot. So he got out a picture, he kept in his wallet, and he showed me, and he said, what do you think of my wife? Is she beautiful? Now, it was very difficult for me to respond to this, mainly because she was wearing a full hijab, and all I could see was a set of eyes coming out from the picture. So I said the obvious thing of her eyes are very beautiful. Maybe he didn't trust me actually as much as I first thought. But that leads me on as well so those initial 9 months I spent away was when Jack was actually born. So for the first 6 months of my life, of Jack's life, I wasn't at home. And Adam, being the amazing godfather he is, stepped in and was a great help. Obviously Lindsay going through a difficult time by herself with Jack for those first 6 months. So eternally grateful for the help that you gave during that time. So yeah, Adam and Jack have got a great relationship together. It mainly revolves around Adam giving Jack money every time he sees him. And even so much that he's actually known as Uncle Adam. And I'm sure later on in life, when you have, or if you have your own kids as well, if Paul has as well, it'll be 9 months from tonight. Once they're grandparents. I'm sure that Jack and your kids will be great friends as well, and they'll be like cousins to each other. Now, as is usually the case, Jack would like to have the final word, and Jack would just like to say a couple of words as well.
To Adam and Chelsea, I love you both lots, and I wish you lots of happiness for the future. Now for a joke. What do you call a Georgian Egyptian taxi driver? Tunkamut.
So finally, I'd just like to ask you to raise your glasses. You can stand up. Final time.
Final words.
I'd say to the bride and groom, to Adam and Chelsea.
The last words. I thought I was having
Thank you.